Hello, this is Jessica Woods, as most of you would already know. Um, this morning, AF arrived. AF meaning period, for those of you who aren't used to the acronyms. Arrived quite early. It wasn't supposed to come until somewhere between the 1st and the 5th of March, at which point we would commence IVF 2.5. I'll explain the point 0.5 shortly. Okay, so I was taking duphaston, which is a synthetic progesterone supplement. Basically, you take it, it makes your body have a rise in progesterone, makes your body think you have ovulated, and once you stop it, your progesterone takes a dive, and your period comes. Now, sometimes if your body thinks that it's had too much progesterone, it will decide to take the dive by itself, and then AF shows up unexpectedly, like mine did. Okay, so this would have been a normal CD cycle day 11 for me. But because AF showed up early, it is now cycle day 1. Okay, now I have done several different types of treatments in the past. I've done Clomid. I've done Clomid with timed intercourse, which means I was regular monitored, and once my follicles reached about 20 to 22 millimeters, they would give me a HCG trigger shot, which would tell my body, okay, go release those eggs, and then timed intercourse, meaning we could do the thing within that time. I've also done timed intercourse with injectable drugs. So they're called gondotrolins, and they're injectables. My husband would inject me with them. Depending on how many follicles he wanted would depend on how much of a dose we would start out with. The first time we tried with 1 vial, 75 IUs of Fostamon every other day. That didn't work for me, so we moved to doing 2 every day. That still didn't work for me, so we moved it up to 3. That didn't work. Moved it up to 4, and that actually did work. So, and then once the follicles were at the correct size, then we could do the HCG trigger. With the injectable meds, your follicles don't need to be as big as with Clomid. With the injectables, you can inject the HCG somewhere between 17 and 19 millimeters. Whereas Clomid, you'd like to see them a bit bigger before you trigger, so somewhere between 20 and 22 millimeters. So that's fine. We've also tried IUI. And some of these cycles have been successful in that I've gotten pregnant. Obviously not as successful as we would like them to be because there still is no baby. Okay, so we then moved on to IVF number 1, beginning the middle of August and finishing somewhere around the end of September, if I have my dates correct. Now that one went through, everything went through quite normally. The process seemed to be a breeze. I wasn't stressed about it. I was able to relax, all that kind of stuff. Ended up transferring 3 3-day embryos that were grade 1, 8 cell. So they were the best of the best that I could have possibly asked for at that point. So that was good. We transferred those, waited a few days, tested. I did get some very faint positive tests, which meant that I was pregnant. But unfortunately, it ended in a miscarriage. We then said, okay, what do we do now? And the doctor suggested we could do an IUI or jump right into another IVF cycle. So we decided to go with the IVF cycle. So we did all the injectable meds. We did the downregulation Down regulation meaning that you shut down your ovaries completely before you start the stimming injections. So we did the down regging, we started stimulating, my ovaries were producing great numbers of follicles, they were growing properly. So we had good chance, so we thought. But once we got to ER, I took a reaction to the anesthetic, stopped breathing, all that kind of crazy stuff. Freaked my doctor completely out. My poor husband was flipping. And anyway, so they managed to wake me up. And then we had to decide what to do from there. So he said, well, we can either cancel right now, or we can try and get at least 1 or 2 eggs out. So it's not a complete fail. So I said, all right, let's try and get a couple of eggs out. And so they had to give me a epidural or a spinal block, whatever you want to call it. It didn't hurt, but it did give me a spinal headache afterwards, which was fine. And so we went ahead, we did that, and nothing would release, nothing at all. It was so annoying and so disheartening. There was like 22 follicles in there, and he couldn't even get one out. And so that was quite frustrating. Then we decided, all right, stop. We'll just call it a bust. In saying that, we then went on to decide that we were going to take a complete body break, try nothing, no drugs, no nothing for 3 or 4 months. February being the 3rd month. And for now, I feel pretty good. I've managed to lose around 25 pounds. And I was hoping to actually get another couple of pounds off before we started in March. But obviously, that's not happening. So 2.5 IVFs, meaning I've already done one. It was successful in that I got pregnant, and I was able to actually finish the whole process, from down regulating to stimming to egg collections to fertilizing the eggs with ICSI, and then transferring the eggs back into my uterus. So that was good. 0.5, not so good. We managed to get down regulation, stimulation to egg retrieval, but didn't get anything out of that part. So this will begin a new one, but we're completely changing the cycle. The cycles that I have done in the past is called the long protocol. So that's why you would down regulate first and then stimulate second. With this, from my understanding, we're going to start down regulating, but also start stimulating at the same time. So it will run sort of with a natural cycle. So I'm feeling quite confident that it will work. I will get pregnant and hopefully stay pregnant. We have figured out that I do have progesterone issues. So I do need to take progesterone supplements as soon as I either A, figure out I get pregnant, or with IVF, you start taking it as soon as the eggs are retrieved. So that's fine. He is going to try and get me in progesterone in oil, which is an injection, rather than a tablet form and a suppository form of progesterone, which both work, but the progesterone in oil seems to work maybe a little better, and I would feel more confident with that. If he can't get it in, then fine. He has done an excellent job in getting in the medication that I need for this cycle, because normally he deals with the long protocol at all times, because that medication is what is actually easily accessed here. The meds that he has to get for me to do the short protocol cycle, he has to get from abroad, so he hasn't been able to get it here. I also have elevated natural killer cells, so I have to take 40 milligrams of prednisone, which is a steroid type pill. So let me see if I can find what they look like. Okay, so it's a steroid type pill. I take 4 of these a day. Actually, sorry, 8 of these a day because they're only 5 milligrams. And they will hopefully knock off the NK cells, or at least keep them at bay. Because what happens with NK cells is you get pregnant and they attack the embryo once it's attached to you, and sometimes before it's actually attached. So that's supposed to help with that. He's also going to try and get in what's called an intralipids IV, which is supposed to help combat the NK cell thing as well. So we're doing everything in our power to make sure I stay pregnant this time and don't miscarry. So that's it for today. I will update you tomorrow when I know what is actually going on. My appointment's at 11 a.m. and I am on GMT +3 time. Okay? Thank you for listening.